I called out to your place in Plymouth today and made my order so I could print out the big
Third?
I just need some baguettes. I'm going to
Yeah, that's
dinner.
She does
Doing French stuff.
But it's hard to tell.
We're
She's a
getting
mess.
ready to go to France. So I said, we've got to taste some baguettes here. So we'll go over there alone. How they taste.
Are you never done?
I'm the baguettes are sourdough. They're not.
Both of them the seed and the
It's hard to beat it.
Yeah.
I really want these.
Everything we do is
Well,
sourdough.
that's all.
I'm really glad you told me that. That way I can
It's
explain
a
to you.
huge commitment, especially. I have cats.
60 makes a great
Cats are not easy.
They are, but they don't go for it.
Oh, 60. I'm just
Well, I'm kind of lost my spirit.
Not the kind of.
I mean, there are places where
Yeah, they make more
where I could let her out eat, and she could run back and forth, and you know, just I mean, we walk
Right.
down
I
the
need to
street
see the
there,
video.
and I enjoy walking with her.
Yeah.
So if this is
I like
something
to see
I walk with you, then I'm going to be mighty tempted.
Yeah,
And I don't
they're
see how I'm possibly going to avoid getting a dog with my daughter, knowing so many
Yeah.
dogs that need somebody.
Yeah, it's so.
That one point she was driving 14 dogs a month from North Carolina to a shelter in Pennsylvania.
A very good friend of mine, her daughter does that too.
Yeah.
Time in the world,
Yeah.
rescuing. Well,
When you're on,
it's worth thinking about, you know.
when you're on Thursday. Anyway, because I have a doctor's appointment up there.
Get ready to go. Well, thank you very much.
So I'll meet the doctor. No, I think I'll let him know.
See if she speaks to you.
We're not going to be that far, but I don't think so. She gets away. It's like her. Not very far.
Oh, you did tell me that. I remember that one. Looks like we might go to France in February. We have friends who live in Germany, and they sometimes rent this amazing property off season, very near where Abby lives. And I was hoping maybe a couple of times.
What did you say prior on our opening in 2 times or 3 times?
3.
3.
Yes. I said both, but I think the consensus was 3.
Judy, maybe you and I think our name's more and more. Luke, maybe be more towards the middle so we don't miss the big
Yeah.
space.
It's just that there were so many altos downstairs, and I
Yeah,
wasn't
but
sure
I
how
think
many would show
some
up.
are going to be in the front. Let's see how it is.
Yeah.
Good morning. I'm Kurt Ollman. I'll be serving as worship associate today. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Savannah. Our worship, religious education, and covenant group theme for December is the practice of presence. Our worship leader this morning is Reverend Diane Hudder. Diane grew up in Brooklyn, New York, but has lived in Boston, Philadelphia, New Jersey, and Florida. She received her Master of Divinity from Boston University School of Theology and was ordained in the United Church of Christ in 1997. She was a solo pastor in 2 churches in South Florida. After studies in clinical pastoral education, she served as a hospice chaplain and then as a bereavement director in a hospice in Miami. She and her husband Steve, both members of this church, as you may well know, have a blended family and will gladly share about their adult children and 8 granddaughters anytime. Ivy, an exceptional Shih Tzu, the only one who gets an adjective in the family, completes their family. Here at the UU Church of Savannah, we're working to build a diverse, multicultural, and beloved community. We celebrate the presence and participation of people of all races, genders, sexual orientations, abilities, and ethnic and national origins. We warmly welcome you on YouTube and on site, wherever you're coming from and wherever you may be heading. If you're visiting with us this morning and would like to introduce yourself, please rise or raise your hand. An usher, Raven, will bring you a microphone. And as part of our commitment to accessibility, we use microphones whenever anyone speaks so that everyone in the sanctuary and watching on YouTube can hear. Any visitors on this side who would like to say good morning? Yes.
Speak to the dog. Good morning. My name is Logan, and it's my first time here. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody on this side? Very good. If you are looking for a new faith community, we encourage you to visit several times to get a feel for our worship style and our approach to matters of faith and religion. It's good to have you all with us. Please join us in Ron Hall for refreshments following the service. You'll find it in the next building by following the crowd through this door or the main doors, or ask the ushers. There are 2 cards in the pew back in front of you that will help us gather information for the good of our community. Use QR code on the Rainbow Chalice card to sign up for our newsletter and to receive a welcome letter from our minister, or if you prefer, fill out the card by hand. The card with the red heart and chalice is there to share a joy or sorrow. If you fill out either of these cards, please put it in the collection plate as it comes around later. Church announcements are emailed to members and friends on Tuesdays and Fridays. Check your email for complete details about the following. Our Christmas Cabaret, Merry and Bright, will take place right here at 3 p.m. Tickets are available only at the door for $30. And you have an insert encouraging you to join the UU Green Team and the Coastal Interfaith Green Team for a winter solstice contemplative gathering on Saturday the 21st from 3 to 5 p.m. at Wesley Gardens. You can check the e-blast or the insert or see Kevin Ione for details.
At this time, Steve Hudder will light our chalice candle. As we light this candle, we enter into a time of sacred space. We gather together lighting our candle as the chalice is lit throughout the world at Unitarian churches. So the lighting of this one candle unites us with Unitarian Universalists throughout the world. Thank you.
This year, our Advent candles are being lit by families and individuals who've become members of the church in the past year. Today's candlelighter is Mary Garofalo. Our candlelighting words for this third week of Advent, with its theme of joy, come from Maya Angelou. She comprehended the perversity of life, that in the struggle lies the joy. May the poet's words be true for us in this season when struggle abounds, even as joy is expected to reign unbidden and supreme.
Our opening hymn is hymn number 389. And we ask you to rise in body or spirit, and we will sing this hymn, short hymn 3 times.
As we have come together in this sacred space, may we know the gift of community, and may we each nourish and be fed by it. Come, let us worship together. At this time, Megan Dunkelberg will be reading a story for all children, no matter their age. If you'd like to see the pictures in the story, you can go forward.
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay. All right. My kiddo couldn't be here today because he's sick, but he helped me pick this one out for you guys. It's one we used to read a lot together. And it's called Daddy's Little Star, but this can be about any grown-up who loves and offers comfort to you. So moms, dads, aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins. Little Fox was chasing falling leaves. Every time he caught one, another one fell. I'm going to catch them all, he panted. It might be hard to catch everyone, said Daddy Fox. There are too many. Look at them all, waiting to fall. Little Fox stared up at the leafy branches. Trees full of leaves, he sang, right up high to the top of the sky. Not quite to the top, said Daddy Fox, tickling Little Fox's nose. The sky doesn't stop there. Something goes even higher than the trees. What goes higher? Asked Little Fox. Bees, said Daddy Fox. Watch them. A family of bees bumbled away over the top of the trees. Buzz, said Little Fox. I'm a bee, buzz, 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 buzzing to the top of the sky. So, does the sky stop there? Little Fox asked. Daddy whisked away a nosy bumblebee. No, not there, he said. What flies higher than the bees? Do you know? Birds go higher, shouted Little Fox. And I'm a bird flying high to the top of the sky. Little Fox landed with a bump. Is that the top, he asked? Does the sky stop there? Daddy Fox kissed him better. No, not there, he said. What goes higher than the birds, but only after rain? Do you guys have any ideas? The rainbow, laughed Little Fox. Look at me now. I'm dancing on the rainbow up above all the birds and the bees and the trees. Is that the top? He asked. Does the sky stop there? Daddy Fox shook his head. Something goes higher than the rainbow, he said. What does? Asked Little Fox. Tell me, Daddy. Here's some whispered suggestions. Clouds, said Daddy Fox. The clouds float high and far. And look, they're showing us the way home. Little Fox watched the clouds drifting by. Let's follow them, he cried, and set off rumbling, running and tumbling towards the den. The sun was setting by the time they reached home. Good night, sun, said Little Fox. I know you go higher than the clouds, but you're not high now. That's true, said Daddy Fox. The sun is going to bed, just like you. It will climb high in the sky again tomorrow. But look. Here comes the moon to shine in its place. Little Fox watched the moon brighten overhead. I can almost touch it, he said, even though it's so high. That must be the top, Little Fox said. Does the sky stop there? No, not there, said Daddy Fox. What do you think shines even higher than the moon? Little Fox looked around the darkening sky. Stars, he laughed. The stars shine higher. He started to count them as they turned on their lights. So many stars, he sighed. So many beautiful stars, agreed Daddy Fox. Little Fox yawned. So, that's the top, he said. The sky stops there. Not even there, said Daddy Fox. You see, there is no top. The stars shine down from the deep, dark, quiet space that goes on forever and ever. Little Fox gazed up into the velvet darkness. He felt warm and safe with Daddy Fox beside him. So the sky goes on forever, he whispered sleepily. But where does it start? Daddy Fox hugged him closer. The sky is just like love, he said. It goes on and on forever. And it starts right here. With my own little star. Thank you for listening. Ready to go upstairs with me? Awesome.
Our offering is an affirmation, a yes. When we give, we say yes to something we value. With our gifts freely given, may we say yes to the values of our faith. May our offering help us practice Unitarian Universalism within and beyond our congregation as tools to empower our mission. To donate via debit or credit card, please use the QR code on the back of the order of service or go to www.uusavannah.org and click the donate button. Mailed checks are also welcome. Thank you for your generosity.
Today we have only one sorrow to share with you. This is from Rachel Bodner. My friend Sarah passed away from her battle with kidney disease at 26. She left a 4-year-old daughter and a husband. Please pray for them. Let us hold all of our joys and sorrows, spoken and unspoken, in our hearts as we join together in the responsive reading found in your order of worship. Sorrow is everywhere.
Yet joy is reborn.
As we mourn together,
So we celebrate together.
And offer thanks.
That we are not alone.
So may it be, now and in all the days to come. In preparation for our silent meditation, I invite you to turn to reading number 619 in the back of your hymnal. Let us read this as a responsive reading. You will be reading the part in italics. My soul magnifies God. We are enlarged.
And my spirit breaks out, rejoicing in the face of freedom.
That God, something now within, yet not mine, has glanced at this daughter of hope.
And behold, henceforth time will know and regard me.
For that great mystery is a beam drawn through this lens.
Comforting me and all people, the shadows now dispersed.
There is strength here, like the sinew of a mother's arm.
It shatters the bitter pride of wealth.
It levels the clayfoot thrones of tyrants.
It upholds the forgotten, the scoured.
Hunger, both body and soul, will be filled.
Riches will no more be rewarded.
The Holy One cleaves to those who keep faith. It will endure in those who serve mercy.
And the promise made to legend ancestors will be kept.
May this reading help you as we move into a time of silent meditation. Hear now the words of Mother Mary Clare, entitled Listening to God. The most difficult and most decisive part of prayer is acquiring the ability to listen. To listen, according to the dictionary, is attentively to exercise the sense of hearing. It is not a passive affair, a space when we don't happen to be doing or saying anything and are, therefore, automatically able to listen. It is a conscious, willed action requiring alertness and vigilance by which our whole attention is focused and controlled. So it is difficult, and it is decisive, because it is the beginning of our entry into a personal relationship with God in which we gradually learn to let go of ourselves and allow the Word of God to speak within us. This is followed by the second reading by Veronica Zundel, and it's entitled, God Speaking. Sometimes I think it is so slow, not even word by word, but a diphthong, a vowel, plosive, painfully pushed out over hours, days, lips laboring, until at long, long last, the word is formed. And I must listen slow, so slow to catching it closing on my ear, and even then, perhaps, mishear. Let us now sing together hymn number 20. Please be seated. And I have to say, you all sounded wonderful, really wonderful. Today we turn to sacred space. Now, sacred space sounds somewhat hazy, floaty, ungrounded, perhaps somewhere in a galaxy far, far away. But perhaps it's a temple found on the top of Mount Atlas, or a Celtic Christian thin space somewhere in Ireland or even Scotland, or Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, or even Unitarian Universalist Church of Savannah. Who knows? Anything, after all, is possible. Several years ago, Steve and I visited a Roman Catholic church in Chartres, France. It is known for its labyrinth, which is laid out in the centuries-old tile floor. Having labyrinths in Florida having walked labyrinths in Florida and elsewhere, we were moved by the chance to actually walk the Chartres labyrinth. The age and setting filled me with a sense of awe, and as we walked slowly along the twists and turns, I began to feel deeply the sacredness of the space. I was beginning to reach a place of deep calm and peace. Then, with apologies to Mark, the custodian of the church declared that we had to hurry along because the space was being used for an event that night, and the chairs stacked against a wall had to be set out on the very tiles of the labyrinth. We did hurriedly finish the walk, but all sense of sacredness was lost to me. I remember with a sense of loss seeing the tiles covered by rows of sacrilegious chairs. So why did I decide to explore sacred space? Or perhaps a better question, why do I consider it worth your time this morning? Honestly, because it has become something of deep interest and value to me. I can pick out many of the times I felt safe in what I now understand as sacred space, and I want to share it with you. I could also share times when I needed to be in a sacred space, but wasn't, and I suffered, making mistakes in my own judgment, which made my situation even worse. I did a bit of research, finding in one dictionary the notation that there are 118 definitions of sacred, including worthy of veneration, consecrated, hallowed, holy, and so forth. Obviously, it is something set apart, lifted up perhaps. Space was a bit easier to sift through. One of the synonyms is place, something able to be defined by its borders. I was also reminded that space is not only measured on a flat plane, but also by going up and down. And so again, visions of a galaxy far, far away. Then there is personal space, which each person can self-measure. For me, please don't get closer than 2 or 3 feet. Also, don't walk right behind me, as I will immediately feel my personal space has been compromised. I may stop abruptly, causing you to possibly bounce off of me and onto the pavement. My hope being to teach you a lesson. Of course, we don't always get what we hope for, so maybe I should drop that maneuver. So what then is sacred space? It's not equivalent to a math problem where 1 and 1 equals 2, nor is sacred only ever attached to a religious life or building. This church, I believe, is a sacred space, but we're Unitarian, so it might not be so for all of us, and some may not have decided yet. It is, in a word, complicated. But then I find a bike with gears to be too complicated for me. According to Joseph Campbell, your sacred space is where you find yourself again and again. It is the finding of oneself that matters. And 2 things about fighting oneself. 1, that you must listen to yourself, and 2, you must do that over and over. As you rant and rave or bemoan the wrongs in life done to you, you must listen to what you are actually saying, what you are actually meaning. You must listen to your own grief or anger or even joy and hear what you mean deep down again and again. You may come to a sacred space furious that your 16-year-old has had car trouble, and you must go save her and your car. Plus, her curfew was an hour ago. You're red in the face angry now. You're an accident ready to happen as you fuss and fume. But now try shifting into a more sacred space. Slow down your heart. Listen to what you're saying, how you're working yourself into a frenzy. Stop and listen to yourself and your heart. See the truth that is in front of you. If she'd come home earlier, well, the problem of car trouble would still have happened, wouldn't it? Are you really angry at her or at yourself for not getting an oil change 6 months ago? Are you really angry or so grateful that she wasn't in an accident? And life will go on, hopefully with some growth in both you and your daughter. That is finding yourself in a sacred space that looks nothing like a place of worship. That is having compassion for yourself and your daughter for the good of both of you. Sacred space is much like prayer in that there is an expectation of listening. However, the problem with telling people to listen when they pray is that too often they think that they are to listen for God. Hearing nothing, they may assume that God has gone deaf or just doesn't care. It's difficult to continue the ritual of prayer given the usual outcome of no vocal response from God. And if you do claim to have heard God speaking, well, you may be held for observation. I suggest that both sacred space and prayer depend on listening to oneself. What are you hearing as you speak of that which is heavy upon your heart? What do your words tell you about yourself? There is a term used mostly in chaplaincy with the sick or dying, but in other ministries as well, called holding sacred space for another. The chaplain uses active listening as the patient shares what is on their heart. The chaplain listens actively to be best able to say back to the patient what the chaplain understood them to be saying. The person is held by the chaplain in sacred space. He or she is heard. The difficult part about being able to do the listening with empathy, not sympathy or judgment. How quickly we want to judge those words that come out of the mouth of another. There is another term, you might call it a distant cousin to sacred space, called thin places. Thin places is a Celtic term referring to those rare locales where the distance between heaven and earth collapses. According to Pastor Jason Lee, in a thin place, the veil between heaven and earth becomes transparent, and there is a presence from God that is almost tangible. He says it is like what Jacob describes in Genesis. Surely the Lord is in this place, and I was unaware of it. How awesome is this place? This is the house of God, This is the gate of heaven. Ideally, one is to travel travel to the thin places as locations. I agree with Pastor Lee when he suggests they can be entered into during our most mundane moments. A thin place may be entered into while folding laundry, stirring soup, lifting weights, or doing the dishes, or even going to rescue a 16-year-old daughter in your broken-down car, or listening to yourself as you pray while cutting the grass. Remember, Jesus and Mohammed both went into the wilderness to be in a thin place. Perhaps neither of them could hear themselves or God above their bickering disciples. We, most of us, don't have the luxury of going alone into the desert, nor do I think any of us would prefer such a calling. Make good use of your sacred space. Hold sacred space for others if you are able to do so. And listen, listen, listen. And you will hear wisdom from your own heart as it speaks to you. And remember to try to walk a labyrinth at least once. I was surprised to see the insert in our bulletins with the picture of a labyrinth right close to us here in Savannah. There are actually 3 different labyrinths in our area. And if you're interested, I'll tell you what they are. May God bless the words that I've shared with you. May they be blessed to your hearing and your understanding. Amen.
Our closing hymn is hymn number 347 in your gray hymnal, Gather the Spirit. We ask you to rise in body or spirit as we sing.
rejoicing that you have your own Savior.